Talafalava, my name is Yuki Kihara. I am an interdisciplinary artist working and living in Samoa. In 2022, I had the pleasure of representing the Aotearoa New Zealand Pavilion at the 59th Venice Biennale with my exhibition entitled Paradise Camp, presented in the Arsenale. Since then, the exhibition had toured several different venues, and it's evolved into an exhibition entitled Darwin in Paradise Camp, and it's now currently presented at the Wereldmuseum in Leiden.
Could you just tell us a little bit more about Paradise Camp and Darwin in Paradise Camp?
So I came up with the title of Paradise Camp after looking into how the word paradise came about. If we are to imagine paradise, it's always this lush landscape that is occupied by Adam and Eve, who are essentially white heteronormative couple living in a very bountiful landscape. And I wanted to queer this notion of paradise by using the camp aesthetic, by subverting it, through the lens of the Fa'afafine or indigenous queer community. If we were to look at the creation story of Samoa, the creation story of Samoa that's been explained by Reverend John B. Stairs from his account of our creation story in Samoa in the early 20th century is that the first human beings in Samoa were both males. And unfortunately, one of the male died due to an accident, and the other male fashioned the deceased male as a female, and they became the parents of the human race. Okay. So we do have our own creation story that is not necessarily heteronormative, but however, because of the strong Christian values that are now embedded in the Pacific, and particularly to Samoan culture, we don't know those creation stories.
Your work is also referencing Darwin, but also referencing Gauguin, and thinking through how to queer or to write a counter histories of those kind of histories that we've come to know. Could you tell us a little bit about that as well?
When we look at like art and science, for example, both disciplines rely heavily on creativity, observation, and experimentation. And both disciplines also require a certain level of skills that's required for problem solving. I kind of feel like when we look at art and science, they're almost cousins to each other. They also inform each other. And I kind of feel like art and science both help to perpetuate a certain level of normativity and whiteness that disfranchised or mask, many knowledges from the global South. As an artist, I wanted to use my platform by using exhibitions to provide an experience that people can encounter, with the hope that, when they walk away from the experience, they feel much more enlightened and they feel empowered, to question normative assumptions that are always being kind of like shoved down our throats.
One of the amazing things about your work is also that you take on the big figures, the big stories, right? So you're taking on Darwin, somebody who we've come to know as defining how we understand certain scientific ideas, but scientific values. I wonder if you could just give us a little insight into queering Darwin.
Darwin in Paradise Camp came about when I was given the opportunity to present Paradise Camp at the Sainsbury Centre. I always wanted to do something with the figure of Darwin by way of exploring queer aesthetics in the animal queendom. When the opportunity came around, to show my work in the UK, I felt that this was the opportunity to actually use Darwin to talk about, queer aesthetics in the animal queendom. And I was inspired by the scholarship of Dr. Ross Brooks, whom in his research talked about how Charles Darwin actually recorded, queer aesthetics in the animal queendom in his research, but he deliberately omitted these findings because he was afraid of the backlash that he would face from the Victorian Academy. And then so this story essentially gave me the inspiration about how even straight people, are under control of heteronormativity. They suffer from heteronormativity themselves. So I kind of felt like the only way to break away from heteronormativity was Charles Darwin to become a drag queen. Not in a way to make a fool of him, but you will find that, like what RuPaul says, that, drag is not necessarily about the exterior, but it actually reveals who you really are.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like, okay, so if Darwin was alive and then he met a drag queen called Buckwheat, what would they say and what would they do? And I kind of felt like, okay, so here is this straight white man, trapped in the creation of his own whiteness and his own heteronormativity. How can he break away from it? And this is where Buckwheat comes in, to graciously, extend a hand for Darwin to experience queerness and liberation.
And so the work is now traveled. It has been in different spaces. It is here in Leiden, but it is in our museum. What would you want it to do here?
I kind of felt like, I could really drive the message of Darwin in Paradise Camp in an institution like yours, because there are many institutions out there, including ethnographic museums, that want to sort of softly massage and softly hide, the legacies of colonialism. But by showing it a, museum like at the Wereldmuseum in Leiden, is that it doesn't hide it. It's there. So the only thing that I need to worry about is, to make sure that everybody has a great time.